Hello and welcome to News Laundry Interviews. Today I am interviewing through Zoom, over Zoom, although it would be nice to do it in person, but these are the COVID times we live in, with Amod Kanth, who's recently released his book, Khaki in Dust Storm, Police Diaries Book 1. So I'm assuming there's going to be a sequel coming up. Are you proud of the Delhi police?
Well, I am. I am proud of Delhi police for a variety of reasons. I am unhappy with Delhi police for a variety of reasons, and happy with Delhi police for a variety of reasons. I mean, there are very different reasons. Because I have been through it. I have functioned in Delhi police. I have seen that the policemen are almost tireless, although they are always tired. See, the fact remains that there is no respite. There is no proper accommodation. Now we are finding the police stations being kind of new police stations being built, new kind of amenities being given. Otherwise, majority of policemen who happen to be constabulary and head constabulary, maybe 70% of them, they remain in bad shape. I mean, their conditions are no good. Given those conditions, number one, and given that kind of framework which I am talking about now, perhaps it's very difficult for the police to work. So I do not blame police entirely. That is one. And why to blame them? Why to blame these majority of policemen who happen to be our lower subordinates or even upper subordinates? I blame.
When you see what happened in the Delhi riots earlier this year, when you have video evidence of the kind of horrific brutality that they have subjected people to, and I'm sorry I'm asking you this question because no serving police officer will take it, and I'm not saying that you're responsible, but as a policeman and a Delhi policeman, how far can the police go in being so ruthless and brutal? I mean, surely there must be some people within saying that this cannot be our face outside, and unfortunately that is the face of Delhi police outside.
Whatever happened this time, because since I talked about 84 riots in a big way, there is a temptation to compare 84 riots with the present riots which took place this year in February in a part of Delhi. See, they are not comparable in my view, because presently Delhi police decidedly is not in such a bad position not to be able to tackle this problem. Delhi
I mean,
police
they are more well equipped and more.
Oh, far more.
Okay.
Many times more. So Delhi police definitely was in a position to tackle it. Well, I think there was some crisis of leadership.
What are the kind of reforms you'd like to see in the police, having served so long and seeing so much wrong with it? And why does that not happen?
India's criminal justice system is based on the set of laws which I call troika of criminal justice laws: Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code, and Indian Evidence Act. They are all the product of 1857, First War of Independence, when British took over India, 1857. The Indian Police Act is 1861 vintage. Now they create the infrastructure. They create the steel frame, so-called steel frame of India's criminal justice system, which is totally outdated, which is totally archaic. It was meant for the British to suppress India. It was meant to keep this country subservient. Constitution of India is a forward-looking document. Constitution of India, following India's independent and constitution, we have got maybe 100 laws which are very, very modern laws, progressive laws. They support poor and marginalized. They are good for the society. They are ahead of time. So what's happening? The Indian police and enforcement system and criminal justice system is caught in the middle. Part of system is behind the time. Part of system is ahead of time. We have to change. And now the reforms, coming to reforms. Yes, National Police Commission came, Dharmirwa Committee, and reforms were recommended. Those recommendations were not implemented. Came Prakash Singh judgment of 2006, which I have talked about in the book also. Now that judgment it gives complete picture of recommendations and changes. If they are brought, certain changes will take place in Indian police. But starting from 2006 till date, 14 years later, no takers among the important people. Very few chief ministers would like it. Very few chief secretaries would like it. Very few, even senior most police officers would like it to happen.
Why?
I'm telling you.
Because you work so closely with children. You know what happened in the Jyoti Singh rape case of 2012? There was one of the rapists was a minor. And he went to a juvenile center. I believe now he's out. How would you deal with people who are very young, who do something? Should they get a second chance in life?
If somebody is a first offender, number one, if somebody is not responsible for a serious and the most heinous crimes like murder, for example, then opportunity is given to such person. And that law, I think, is reasonably okay, because that really almost expects the courts to let off a person who happens to be a young fellow, who happens to be a young offender, and not in such serious crimes. But if you start letting off people in such serious crimes, it's very, very difficult. That is one part. If somebody is above 18 years of age. Now, if somebody is below 18 years of age, like it happened in case of the juvenile offender in Nirbhaya case, let me inform you, friend, that that child also I knew. This child, he came from an extremely poor family, extremely poor, and he had to leave his home while he was a small kid. He came to UP, he came to Delhi, he worked all over. This fellow Ram Singh, who was the actual brutal character who committed suicide in Tihar jail, Ram Singh owed him some money, some 3-4 thousand rupees. And this young boy was demanding money, Ram Singh was not giving. So that evening, out to blue, he came to Ram Singh's home.
I have spoken to trainers at the Mizoram Varangte school, and they say, sometimes we get people from the police that they have to be trained to tackle insurgents in the forest. And, they come for 6-week, 8-week training. And he says, when a Fauji comes, I know that he can run 40 kilometers. So I have to train him to survive after that. So when a cop comes, by the time his training is over, I can't even get him to run 40 kilometers. So the advanced training is actually wasted. They might as well not come. It's pointless.
No. See, this is a very, very wrong way of looking at things. Those who look at that way. See, the police is very different compared to the forces. I mean, the police, number one, is a service. I mean, you must have seen my book also. I talk about community policing.
Yes.
I talk about people's policing. I talk about police being a service, not being a force. Right in the beginning, I've written about it. See, the police is a huge interface with the people. The police is in the midst of million mutinies all the time. The police is supposed to be dealing with the people at large. The job is not to be person with stamina. The IPS officers, particularly senior police officers, they should be cerebral. They should understand things. That is one part of it. So it has to be dealt differently. But coming to the most critical situations, see Punjab, for example.
Initially, in the Nanda case, for those of our viewers who may be younger and are not aware, there was a case of which is called the BMW case, where
that's correct.
A BMW car driven by a young man,
Sanjeev Nanda,
who was the son of a prominent industrialist, ran over 7 people, if I'm not wrong. Out of them, 5 were policemen.
Yes.
And there were 2 civilians. And he pretty much almost got away, as did the murder of Jessica Lal. And then the case was reopened. Now, while it's all very good for the Delhi police to say that, we resolved the case and the guy was brought to book, but the fact that they got away also was because of Delhi police. I mean, had the courts not intervened, that case was all but over, the Jessica Lal case. How can something like that happen? And, people still have faith in the police.
See, actually, one of the reasons why I decided so late in life, so late in my career to write about these things. See, there is a big gap between what is really the truth and what is really the fact and what are the evidence and what people think about it. People's thought is by and large projected by the media in the first place, and secondly by the interested people, and thirdly to create a story sensationalism which really finds its way everywhere. In both these cases, let me inform you.
I know that the judge was pulled up for this, but even the lower court, the judge in his judgment made a very damning remark saying that I know that the accused is guilty, but the police has just not been able to, or want to prove it. In fact, I believe he was ticked off for making that remark. But the fact is that he said yes, but it is the police that has failed in collecting the evidence and proving it to me. And also, just one more question: would witnesses turn hostile if they really had faith if the Delhi police will protect them against powerful people?
It is not that. Let me tell you. See, most of the witnesses turn hostile because they are bought over. If I'm a person who can be bought, then I'm no one. If I'm dishonest, if I'm dirty, If I am sellable and buyable, well, it's my fault.
Free में बस इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full unedited interview, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. We don't take advertisements, so go to newslaundry.com, click on the top right hand corner where it says subscribe, and be a part of the community that pays to keep news alive.